After she gave birth, her unfaithful husband refused to sign the birth certificate. "That child is not mine. He will not carry my name," he yelled, humiliating her in front of his entire affluent family. He turned pale and began to tremble, however, when the doctor spoke. "They say the worst kind of pain isn't physical. It's the kind that shatters you internally while everyone stares, judges, and applauds your downfall." And that was exactly what Elara lived through. Elara Vance was 26 years old. She worked at a small community library in the heart of Charleston, South Carolina. Elara had always been a quiet woman, reserved, a bit timid, but with a gentle spirit. Despite her humble roots, she earned the affection of everyone she knew through her dedication and her habit of speaking softly, as if she didn't want to bother anyone. She fell in love with Marcus Thorne when she was barely 22. He, the heir to a prestigious family known for their legacy in real estate and philanthropy, swept into her life like a hurricane, disguised as a soft breeze. Marcus carried himself with confidence, flashed a dazzling smile, and spoke in words that sounded like eternal promises, promises that over time twisted into threats masked by silence. That public hospital, with its scent of cheap disinfectant and the echo of newborns crying, became the setting for a nightmare. Elara had been in labor for over 8 hours alone, her hands clutching the sheets, her heart in shreds. Her mother, who was battling a terminal illness, couldn't be there. And Marcus arrived when everything was already done. The room was cramped with scuffed walls. Elara held her baby, her own eyes still swollen from crying. When the door opened, Marcus strode in, dressed in designer clothes, looking as if he'd just come from a gala. Behind him were his mother, Mrs. Genevieve Thorne, with an arrogant gaze and a look of sheer contempt, and his younger sister, Chloe, who looked at Elara as if she were dirt on her shoe. "You're late," Elara murmured, barely having the strength to speak, clutching the small child. Marcus didn't answer. He took one step, then another, until his eyes landed on the baby. He stopped dead, his brow furrowed. Something in his face shifted. It was no longer just discomfort. It was cold, calculating, poisonous rage. "What is this?" he said, not raising his voice, but with an intensity that chilled the room. Elara looked at him, confused. "It's your son, Marcus. Our son." Mrs. Genevieve advanced. She looked at Marcus, then at the child, her lips curled with disdain. "That is not a thorn." Chloe let out a short, mocking laugh. "Elara, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything." Elara began to tremble. "The baby is yours, Marcus." But Marcus was no longer listening. He spun around toward the nurse who had just entered. "I need to speak with the administrator. I refuse to sign any birth certificate. That bastard will not carry my name." The words fell like knives. The nurse, visibly uncomfortable, tried to slip out. Elara clung to the baby, her eyes filled with tears, not from the public humiliation, but from the pain that swelled in her chest. "How can you say that? He is your son. Look at me, please," she begged, her voice broken. Marcus looked at her, but not as a husband, as if she were a stranger. "Do you think I'm stupid? That child looks nothing like me. Do you think I'm going to bear the burden of a mistake that isn't even mine?" "He is not a mistake. He is your son." "Don't raise your voice at me," he shouted, pointing his finger. "What you did is unforgivable." Mrs. Genevieve crossed her arms. "I always knew you were an opportunist, a poor girl looking to climb the ladder. And look at you. You don't even know who the father is." "Shut up!" Elara screamed, trembling. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't you speak to my mother like that." Marcus slammed his hand against the wall. "And you, Elara, what you did is not forgivable. You messed with my family." The baby began to cry, a loud wail, sensing the tension. Elara cradled him, dissolving inside. The noise drew a doctor who entered with a worried expression. It was Dr. Elias. The attending physician, tall with graying temples. He stopped when he saw the scene. "Is everything all right here?" "Of course not," Marcus snapped. "This woman is pinning a child on me that isn't mine. I want proof." The doctor looked at Elara, then at the child. He paused. He took a deep breath. "Mr. Thorne, I need to speak with you privately. I have nothing to discuss. That child isn't mine." "Please," the doctor insisted. "It's important." Marcus ignored him. "We're leaving. Let her deal with her own problem." Elara tried to sit up, but the post-labor pain made her fall back. "Don't go. Please listen to me, Marcus." Mrs. Genevieve approached. "I hope you have a good story to tell that child when he asks who his father was." And they left. The doctor closed the door gently. Elara was shattered. "Elara," the doctor said, lowering his voice, "you need to be strong. What I am about to tell you is not easy." She lifted her face. "What is it?" The doctor paused. "The reason why Marcus sensed something. It makes sense. The baby has a genetic condition that is not compatible with his, but also not compatible with yours." Elara blinked, confused. "What are you saying?" "We need to run more tests, but Elara, the child's father appears to be someone close to Marcus. Very close." Elara frowned. Her heart skipped. "No, that can't be. I was not with anyone else. Never." The doctor stood up. "I will tell you with more certainty as soon as I have the lab results. For now, rest." He left. Elara was alone. She didn't know that hell was just beginning. She couldn't imagine the truth was worse than any lie. Elara couldn't move. The silence in the room was thick. Her son, little Leo, slept on her chest. Hours passed. Elara didn't close her eyes. She repeated over and over that it couldn't be true. The doctor's words echoed. An incompatible genetic condition. How? She had never been unfaithful, and yet there was her son, rejected. At dawn, the nurse entered. "Elara, honey, you need to sign this discharge paperwork. Do you have someone to pick you up?" Elara shook her head. "No, I don't have anyone." The nurse sighed. "You can stay a few more hours, but we're short on beds." Elara nodded. "I don't have anywhere to take him." 2 days later, she returned to the small neighborhood where she had grown up. The inherited house from her mother awaited her, in ruins, with no running water. Elara entered with Leo in her arms. It wasn't a mansion, but no one would judge her here. In the Thorne mansion. Meanwhile, everything was tense. Marcus had called Dr. Elias. "What do you mean by incompatible? Explain yourself," he demanded. The doctor on the phone remained calm. "Mr. Thorne, as I explained, we detected an uncommon genetic condition. It matches a relative of yours, but not you. Are you suggesting it was someone in my family?" "I cannot make assertions. I suggest a DNA test." Marcus hung up. He began to suspect the chauffeur, the gardener, even his own younger brother, Julian. Mrs. Genevieve walked in. "Well, I'm arranging a DNA test. I want to put an end to this. That woman, I always knew she wasn't trustworthy. That kind of woman only serves to ruin a good name." Marcus clenched his fists. "I want all the staff investigated, everyone." Meanwhile, Elara was trying to survive. She had no formula, no diapers. Her savings account had been frozen. Marcus had cut her off from everything. She went to the neighborhood store to ask for credit. "Elara, I'm sorry," the owner said, "but with what people are saying, I'd rather not get involved." Elara left, her dignity in tatters. But an older woman called her from a doorway. "Hey, Elara, come here, girl. You and your baby look like you haven't eaten." It was Mrs. Gable, a lifelong neighbor. She received Elara with hot tea and bread. "I don't know what you did," Mrs. Gable said, "but whatever it is, that baby ain't to blame." Elara broke down. She cried like a small child. "I don't understand," she whispered. "I swear to God I wasn't with anyone else." That night she had a blurred memory, a glass of wine, a strange dizziness. Marcus wasn't there. She only remembered being in the house. Then, fog. The next day, comments exploded on social media. Someone had leaked a photo of Marcus leaving the hospital. Multimillionaire rejects his own son at birth. The press began to sniff around. A young journalist, Savannah Jones, tracked Elara down. "I want to tell your story. The country deserves to know the truth." Elara didn't answer. In the Thorne mansion, Marcus received the DNA test results. He was alone. He opened the envelope. Negative. The baby was not his. He felt raw rage. He called his attorney. "Destroy the birth certificate. That child is dead to me," he said, throwing the envelope into the fire. Hours later, Marcus was laughing with a young blonde woman named Camille. No one mentioned Elara. Meanwhile, Elara began her job search. With Leo in her arms, she scoured offices. Everyone said the same thing. "I'm sorry. We're not hiring." She returned home exhausted with only a bag of rice from Mrs. Gable. As she entered, she found an unsigned letter slipped under the door. It only said, "He wasn't the only one in that house who looked at you differently." Elara felt a chill. There were too many shadows surrounding her story. Elara hadn't slept peacefully since receiving that letter. He wasn't the only one. The baby, Leo, was only a few weeks old, but his eyes seemed to look with the intensity of someone who had lived 1,000 lives. That night, she made a decision. She went to an office building in the industrial park. "I need a job, anything. I only ask that you let me bring my son." The cleaning supervisor looked at her suspiciously. "This isn't a daycare. He won't bother anyone. I just need a chance." The woman sighed. "All right. But if he cries too much, you're gone." That night, Elara mopped marble floors. Leo slept in a box. Her body ached, but her dignity hurt more. She was no longer the wife of Marcus Thorne. She was nobody. Days passed. Leo started showing strange symptoms: shortness of breath, a constant fever, small tremors. Elara took him to a community clinic. The doctor examined him. "We need to run more complete tests. This could be something more serious." "How much do those tests cost?" The doctor hesitated. $5,000, maybe $6,000. Elara felt the air ripped from her lungs. She didn't have even $100. That night, she sold her only ring, the one Marcus had given her, for 2 cans of formula. The next day, she went to the local legal aid office. A young lawyer, Anya Sharma, attended to her. "I want to force my son's father to take responsibility." "Do you have the birth certificate?" Elara lowered her head. "He destroyed it. He said that child didn't deserve his name." Anya looked at her seriously. "We're going to start with a paternity and child support lawsuit. Do you have proof you were married?" Elara pulled out a torn folder, a photo, a marriage license. "This will work, but you need an official genetic exam." They already did one. It came back negative. Anya raised her eyebrows. "And are you sure you weren't with anyone else?" Elara lifted her wounded gaze. "I don't remember anything. Just one night I felt strange. But I didn't do anything." The lawyer nodded. "I'm going to help you. I don't promise miracles, but I promise justice." In the Thorne mansion, the atmosphere had grown heavy. The press was applying pressure. The Thorne name was becoming synonymous with scandal. Marcus, desperate, ordered a media control campaign. Mr. Theodore Thorne, Marcus's father, had returned from a business trip, elegant with a measured smile, a man who didn't yell but whose glance made a room tremble. Marcus met him in the study. "Father, I need to know, did anyone in the family do anything with Elara?" Mr. Thorne stared at him. "What are you referring to?" "You know what I mean. The DNA doesn't match me, but the doctor says there's compatibility with someone close. Did you see something, Theodore?" Mr. Thorne maintained his composure. "Your weakness is making you talk nonsense. Stop finding excuses for your marital failure. That woman doesn't deserve our time." "You can't ignore it. Julian was here when I wasn't. The chauffeur—" Thorne interrupted him. Don't bring your brother into this. If you were naive enough to let an outsider into this family, assume the consequences." From the doorway, Julian listened. He then went to his mother, Mrs. Genevieve. "Mom, do you remember Sophia?" Mrs. Genevieve tensed. "Why are you mentioning that woman?" "Because Dad has worse secrets than the Elara business. You know it. What he did to Sophia was worse." Mrs. Genevieve turned pale. "Be quiet. That story died years ago." Julian shook his head. "No, it didn't die. It was just buried, like everything else in this house." That night, Elara took Leo to a pro bono clinic. The same doctor who had seen her at the hospital, Dr. Elias, attended to him. After examining Leo, he sat across from Elara with a grave expression. "The child has a mitochondrial disorder. It's a rare inherited condition. It's progressive." Elara felt herself faint. He could die? "Not if we act fast, but the treatment is costly. More than $15,000 just to start." Elara didn't respond. She just hugged her son. "I don't have that money." "There's another option. If we find a compatible relative, we could start an alternative therapy. We need to analyze the DNA of the possible fathers." Elara closed her eyes. She remembered the rejection, the abandonment. What if the only compatible person was in a family that hated her? That night, in her small room, Elara watched Leo sleep. Next to her was the envelope with the new genetic results she had requested with Anya's help. She opened it. The result was not the same as the one from the hospital. The new report said something more. There was a match, but not with Marcus. With another member of the Thorne family. Elara let the paper fall. The image of Mr. Theodore Thorne appeared in her mind, elegant, with that refined smile that hid something dark. The genetic match left no doubt. Leo's true father lived in that mansion. For the first time, she wasn't just a victim of abandonment, but of the complicit silence of an entire family. That very night, she met with Anya. "I didn't want to believe it," she said, placing the envelope on the table. Anya read it. "Theodore Thorne," she murmured. Elara nodded. "What are you going to do?" Anya asked. "I'm going to see Mrs. Genevieve. She knows. She always knew." The next day, she showed up at the mansion. The gate attendant let her pass. Mrs. Genevieve was having tea. "The nerve of you," she hissed. "I need to speak with you alone." Mrs. Genevieve's sister left. "You have 5 minutes. I'm not here about your son. I'm here about yours, the other one. I know that the true father of my son is Theodore. I have confirmation, and you knew it." Mrs. Genevieve stood up, her hands trembling. "You don't know what you're saying. You have no idea what it means to accuse a man like my husband." Elara didn't back down. And Sophia? Did she know what she was doing when she screamed? Or was she also silenced with money? Mrs. Genevieve's eyes flew open. "How do you know that name?" "Julian mentioned it. And there's a pattern. Your husband is not new to this, and your silence makes you complicit." Mrs. Genevieve sank into the armchair. "Sophia was a young girl who worked here. One day, she disappeared. I saw her cry. I saw her bruises. I saw how she avoided Theodore. I knew, but I was afraid. Theodore warned me that if I spoke, he would destroy everything, and I believed him. And that's why you allowed him to repeat the same thing with me." Mrs. Genevieve bowed her head. Silence was her answer. That night, Elara and Anya investigated Sophia. They found a police report for voluntary disappearance closed. Then Anya found a medical record, a patient named Sophia. Diagnosis, unspecified psychosis, hospitalized in a private clinic outside the city. "A psychiatric clinic," Elara said. "Forced confinement. She's been there for more than 4 years." Anya used her lawyer title to gain access. Elara waited in the car. Anya returned after an hour, her eyes cloudy. "She doesn't speak. She's sedated all the time. She has marks on her arms." Elara lowered her head. "She's alive, but she's not free, just like me." That same week, A journalist published a filtered audio clip, an anguished female voice screaming, "He drugged me. I didn't want to. I couldn't move. Please help me." Social media exploded. Anya traced the origin. It was from the same clinic where Sophia was. Elara listened to the audio 3 times. The third time, her blood ran cold. It was her voice. Marcus, in his office, listened to it on his phone. When he heard that scream, that broken tone, he felt something snap. He closed his eyes, visualizing. The night he left for a business trip, he told his father that Elara would be alone in the house. Dad was that night alone with her. The glass he was holding fell and shattered. And then he understood everything. He was breathing with difficulty. He went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and didn't recognize himself. He took his keys and walked through the marble hallways. He crossed the door to Theodore Thorne's study without knocking. The patriarch was pouring whiskey. "You have no manners, son." Marcus closed the door. "What did you do to her?" Theodore didn't answer. "I'm going to repeat it only one more time. What did you do to Elara?" The silence was long. Then Theodore took a sip. "Everything I've given you, I did to tame you. You were always weak, Marcus. You lacked character." Marcus took a trembling step. "You drugged her. You touched her when she couldn't defend herself. Is that what you did? Don't raise your voice. Answer me." Theodore looked at him without flinching. "She was just another pawn. I wanted to show you that you can't trust anyone, and I succeeded, because you failed, as always." Marcus staggered backward. Repulsion. His own father had destroyed the woman he loved just to humiliate him. "You're sick. I'm in control. What's the difference?" "You're not in control of anything. I'm going to sink you." Theodore laughed. "And you think people are going to believe you, a spoiled boy, over me? Do you know how many judges owe me favors? Well, they are going to find out everything, because I will speak." He left. He slammed the door. When he arrived in Elara's neighborhood, he didn't know whether to knock or kneel. Mrs. Gable opened the door. "What are you doing here?" "I need to speak with her." "She doesn't want to see you." "Please." His voice cracked. Mrs. Gable stepped aside. Elara was in the room feeding Leo. Seeing him, she stood up. "What are you doing here?" Marcus stopped. He looked defeated. "I came to ask for your forgiveness." "Your forgiveness is useless to me, Marcus. I know everything now. I heard the audio. I spoke with him. He confessed. What he did to you, what he did to me." He couldn't continue. Elara knew. "And now you come here? After leaving me alone? After screaming at me? After allowing your mother to call me an opportunist?" "There's no excuse. I know. But I'm here because I want to help you. I want to help you and my son." Elara trembled. "He is not your son. He is my son." "He is, even if he doesn't carry my blood. Because what they did, it's unforgivable. And I won't stay silent." Elara collapsed onto the bed, crying. Marcus tried to approach, but she raised her hand. "Don't come near me. I need time." Marcus nodded. He left. Anya was preparing the complaint. The file was thick. Genetic tests, recordings, Sophia's history, testimonies. "This is going to blow up," she told Elara. "They're going to attack you. Say you did it for money." Elara looked her in the eyes. "I don't care. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for all the ones who couldn't speak." The media found out. The story gained traction. Other women wrote to Anya anonymously. Sterling Thorne had harassed them, too. The legal team filed the formal complaint. The press surrounded the courthouse. Days later, Theodore sent a message. He wanted to speak with Elara privately. Anya forbade it, but Elara went. They met at a private restaurant. "You have guts," he said. "I have memory, and I have a son who deserves justice. That child is not my shield. He is my engine, and he is in your life forever now." Theodore smiled. I can take the child away from you. I have the resources. I can argue you have no means, that you have emotional instability. Do you really want to play this game?" Elara didn't flinch. "Try it. But I swear that if you do, I will make public every detail, every victim, every audio. You won't be able to walk down the street without people looking at you as what you are." Theodore drank, then stood up without saying more. Marcus called a press conference. Anya, Elara, and the media were present. Marcus stepped up to the podium. "I come to speak as a son, as a husband, and as a victim of silence. The father of my wife's son is my own father, and it is not the first time he has done this." There was a collective murmur, shouts, camera flashes. What happened to Elara was an act of violence, of power, of perversion, and I, as part of that family, can no longer remain silent. The media exploded. Social media collapsed. Sterling Thorne's untouchable figure ceased to exist. The silence was broken. Marcus's words echoed in the newsrooms like a bomb. The heir to one of the country's most powerful families, confessing his father had committed an unimaginable crime. Elara had no time to debate the media impact. She was focused on justice. Together with Anya, she presented herself before the DA's office, accompanied by cameras and other women who hadn't dared to speak until now. Elara carried Leo in her arms. She was no longer afraid. Anya filed the formal complaint. She included testimonies, genetic results, the filtered audio, and a recording of the confession Marcus had secretly obtained. At the courthouse entrance, Anya took the microphone. "Today, we are not only denouncing a crime. We are denouncing a structure of impunity that has protected a man for decades. We will not be silent." When Elara took the floor, the silence was absolute. For years, I believed I had done something wrong, that I deserved the rejection. But it was not my fault. And today, I want other women to hear this. It was not your fault either. And then the unexpected happened. Sophia appeared. She had escaped the psychiatric hospital with the help of a nurse. Anya received her, protected her. Elara hugged her. Sophia's voice was broken but firm. "He locked me up so no one would know. He told me I was crazy. I started to believe him." Until I saw Elara on the news and understood that he kept destroying lives. With Sophia as a key witness, the prosecutor's office ordered Theodore's immediate arrest. The police arrived at his mansion with cameras rolling. They brought him out in handcuffs. He didn't resist, but it didn't last. 72 hours later, he was released, a legal technicality. The presiding judge was an old acquaintance. Social media exploded with outrage. Elara felt like the world was laughing in her face again, but she didn't break. She organized a march with Anya and the other victims. They wanted social justice. Thousands joined, banners, photos of victims, names from the shadows. Elara marched at the front with Leo. The impact was immediate. For the first time, Theodore couldn't manipulate the narrative. But while the world watched, Leo worsened. The fever wouldn't go down. Elara rushed to the hospital. Dr. Elias received her. "We need to operate immediately. How urgent? Hours." "I don't have the money. I only have $200. "Then get it any way you can." Elara ran out. The hospital required a minimum deposit of $12,000. Desperate, Elara recorded a video. She didn't ask for money. She just told the story. She showed Leo, explained the urgency, and published it. Within hours, a wave of solidarity activated. Anonymous individuals, celebrities, mothers. The campaign went viral. In less than 24 hours, the account raised more than $70,000. Marcus, upon hearing the news, sold his stake in a tech company. He handed over the money without announcing it. "Do what you have to do," he told Anya. "I just want the child to be well." Elara, upon finding out, remained silent. But there was something new in her eyes. Gratitude. The operation was a success. Leo responded well. But the monster hadn't disappeared. Theodore had been pulling strings. He planned his escape, fake documents, a flight to another country. What he didn't know was that Marcus had placed a private investigator behind him. The alert reached Anya. Anya called Elara. Elara called the police. The airport was the key point. Elara didn't hesitate. She took a cab. She didn't notify the press. She found him in the VIP line with a fake passport. "You," he said with arrogance. Elara didn't respond. She turned around. 2 police officers, a judge, and a prosecutor arrived. Theodore Thorne was formally detained for attempted flight, document fraud, and violation of conditional release. "You won't get out so easily this time." He smiled. "The world is full of traitors." Elara stared at him. "No, it is full of women who stopped being afraid." And just like that, the monster fell. The trial was long and televised. Dozens of witnesses, voices buried for years. Sophia's testimony paralyzed the room. She described the hell. Elara also testified. She held Leo as she spoke. She didn't cry. She spoke as a mother who was no longer afraid. She recounted the rejection, the abandonment, the humiliation. She didn't ask for compassion. She demanded justice. The verdict came. Guilty. Life imprisonment without possibility of parole. The country celebrated. Leo, meanwhile, was recovering. Marcus visited him every day. He didn't talk much. He just sat beside him, holding his small hand. It was his way of asking for forgiveness. One morning, Marcus asked to speak with Elara alone. They sat on a bench. "I know I can never erase what I did to you," he said. "You can't," Elara replied firmly, "but I want you to know that I'm not leaving, not as a couple. I'm not here to get that back. I'm just here as someone who understands the damage he caused and is willing to live with that." Elara watched him. "Sometimes forgiving is letting go, and I don't want to carry you anymore, not out of hatred, because I want to walk lightly." He nodded. She hugged him briefly, like saying goodbye to something that was important, but no longer belongs. With Leo's health stabilized, Elara decided to do something more. She began writing. Anya gave her a notebook. "Fill it with what broke you and also with what saved you." Elara titled the manuscript, "Born of Silence." The book was published 6 months later. It sold out in hours. Reviews called it brave, necessary. It was a warning. With the royalties, Elara founded an organization for women victims of power and abuse. She called it the Leo Foundation. It offered free legal aid, emotional recovery, and medical guidance. Sophia was one of the first volunteers. Anya became her legal ally. Mrs. Gable, a godmother. Marcus collaborated silently, organizing donations. Elara became a public figure. She was invited to conferences, but only accepted when she could speak with sincerity. Her story wasn't a product. It was an open wound she had decided not to hide. Years passed. Leo grew up surrounded by love, a curious, happy child. He knew his story was special. When he turned 6, Elara wrote him a letter. "My dearest son, you were born in silence, but your voice has woken the world. I didn't raise you to be brave because you already are. I raised you to be free, to understand that your origin doesn't define you. What defines you is the love you gave and received. And you, Leo, have been my greatest lesson in love." The last scene took place on a warm March afternoon. Elara walked along a path with Leo in her arms. He was no longer a baby, but he liked to hug her. She looked at the sky. Leo stroked her face. "Are you okay, Mom?" She smiled, not with sadness, but with peace. "The pain broke me, but you rebuilt me." And they kept walking. Did you like this story? And which city are you watching from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments. On the screen, you can see 2 new stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.